Hi everyone, Michael with Bad Goblin Games here with another Ages of Conflict demo. And again, we're going to do a cross-genre battle here. One side where we have your stereotypical undead fantasy army. And on the other side, we have an army of American Civil War Confederates. So before we jump into the game, we're going to look at each of the armies along with some of the considerations that we have here. All right, so the first army we're going to take a look at are the Undead. So this is the Undead army, and we have a few different types of units in here. We have some white cavalry. We have some white infantry. We have a undead giant, some wraiths, skeletal archers, skeletal infantry, some more skeletal archers, a catapult, and then a zombie dragon. So undead in Ages of Conflict come in two varieties. There are sentient undead and simple undead. Sentient undead are those that have a sense of intelligence, a sense of self preservation. And so your sentient undead are really bound by all the typical Ages of Conflict rules in regards to break tokens and what have you. The other type of undead we have are simple undead, and a good example of those would be like these the skeletal archers and infantry and the giant there. So simple undead have barely spark of intelligence is really even a strong word there. They really are able to take only very simple, basic commands. And basically, the way they work in the rules is unless you have a hero within a certain radius, then they're really limited as far as what commands you can give them. We're going to kind of ignore that a little bit today. The other aspect of simple undead is that they don't really have a sense of preservation. And so when they go into combat, you basically see them lasting much longer than they would other units. Other units, as they're getting beat down, they have a chance to run. Undead, the simple undead, you really don't see that. So we do have two undead monsters. We have the giant. We have the dragon. This is really, I think, really one of the first times we'll be demoing how we handle flying in Ages of Conflict. I'll be going into it more as we walk through the battle, though briefly, if you look at the dragon here, you see this little token beside him that says soaring, and if we flip it over, it says airborne on the other side. Really what that means is that tells us what elevation the dragon is at. If he's at airborne, then he's low enough to the battlefield where he can, say if he has a breath weapon, he can use his breath weapon. Troops with missile weapons can attack him, and so on. So he's low enough to interact with the battle. If he is soaring, then he's too high to do that. So if he's soaring, he can't attack anything on the ground, and creatures on the ground, or combatants on the ground, I should say, can't attack him either. So that's it for Undead. Let's look at the Confederates. All right, so here's our Confederate army. We have a one cannon battery, and for the most part, they're really all about the same. You see several units of just line infantry. I did not do any cavalry in this battle, so several units of line infantry. We have some skirmishers up front. Now, the Civil War, the American Civil War, I should say, was in some regard like a turning point in technology, because we started seeing a mix, or I guess maybe an uptick in weaponry, but not necessarily how tactics were used with those weapons. So case in point here, by the time you have the American Civil War raging, the rifled musket was the norm over the smoothbore musket. What I'm doing here, there were particularly I guess in the Western theater, smoothbore muskets were still around. I wouldn't say they were prevalent, but they were still used by Confederates to a decent amount, I believe. So what I'm going to do here is kind of mix it up a little bit. The last unit here, we're going to give them smoothbore muskets. The others, we're going to give them rifled muskets. And really the big difference is just the range. The smoothbore muskets, they have a very short range. It's only, at max, it's 15 centimeters. Whereas the rifle muskets, 45 centimeters. So dramatically a better range with the smoothbore muskets. So we're going to see how they interact with these undead, particularly with the monsters, and how the simple undead, just the fact that they tend not to run from battle, how they interact here. All right, let's get to the game. All right, we're going to pick up with turn 1 of our Undead versus Confederate battle. If you've watched any other demos, this is really just going to kind of follow the same structure. So I've already, the first thing we do in every turn is place orders. I've already placed all the orders face down. So now we're going to go to initiative. Typically initiative is based upon your general's command. We don't have any generals in this game, no heroes. So we're just going to use 2d10 per side. And what we're looking for are successes. So a success is anytime you roll a 6 or more, at least outside of combat. In combat, that success number or target number changes. So we'll roll for the undead. We have a 10 and a 1, so that's 1 success. And for the Confederates, we also roll a 10 and a 1. Now, typically when we have a tie, we just take the highest individual die roll, but we roll the exact same thing here, which is a little challenging to do, but we did it, so we'll roll again. Undead, 8 and a 5. And so that's 1 success. Confederates, we have an 8 and a 7. So 2 successes for the Confederates, so they go first. This is alternating actions now. We're moving into the reveal orders and movement phase. So with alternating actions, what this really means is we select a unit. So I'm going to select the cannon battery here. They have second missiles, so we're not attacking at this point. All we're doing is activating a unit by flipping its order. If that order allows movement, then we move the unit at this point. Now, second missiles prevents movement. The unit is not allowed to move. So all we do is flip the token. They don't actually move. We'll go to the undead, and we will activate our white cavalry. They have march orders. With march orders over smooth ground like this, they can go up to double their move. Their move is 6. That means they can go 12 centimeters. Activate Confederates. Second missiles for our smoothbores. They're basically going to hang out here and more or less try to protect these cannons to a degree. Activate our giant. Now our giant, we gave our giant a charge order. So charge order allows you to go up to your charge pace, which is 3 times your move. So the giant's going to move a pretty good distance here. He's going to go 18 centimeters. Now typically, if a unit moves at a charge pace and does not come into contact with an enemy, then they would have to make a test to become, or to avoid becoming disorganized. So for example, if these whites had moved at that charge pace and did not contact the enemy, they may become disorganized. However, in this situation, the giant is treated as a single creature or single stand, so there's no chance of him becoming disorganized. It's just him running out there. He's not shoulder to shoulder with hundreds of other troops. All right, so let's go back to our Confederates. We'll activate some skirmishers here. Now they could move up at that charge pace also and not become disorganized because they are skirmishers. Though in this case, they're just going to go at a safer pace of 10 centimeters. All right, we'll go back to our undead. Our archers are going to move up. Back to our Confederates. And more undead. More Confederates. Same thing with these skirmishers. They could go faster, that they're going to opt not to. Let's move our wraiths up a bit. And the last unit of Confederates will move forward. Catapult has second missile, so it does not move either. We have no more Confederates to activate at this point, so we're just going to finish up with the undead. And the last we have is our dragon. And he actually doesn't fly too fast for a dragon. He's kind of a zombie dragon, so you can imagine his wings are a bit torn up, and maybe they don't quite give him the speed that a say a normal dragon might have. So he's not actually flying very fast. He's just going to go 15 centimeters here. And I'm just going to kind of put him right beside these guys. Now he is currently soaring, so that means he cannot. He's too high to interact with anybody on the battlefield here. So he can't attack using, say, a breath weapon, and none of the Confederates with their guns can actually shoot at him. So that's it for reveal orders of movement. We're going to go on to combat now. Combat takes place over 4 phases. First, our units that have first missile orders, which we have none. Then we go to those with march orders. The march orders and missile weapons, I should say. The skeletons do have some, and they can actually shoot at these skirmishers. And I did forget to do one thing with these skirmishers. I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick. When you have units that are skirmishing, or for pretty much any formation we have available, we have these little tokens you can put beside them to help you remember. So we just don't necessarily maybe need them for these guys because they are kind of in a skirmishing formation, but they could form up if they wanted to. So we just put these little skirmishing tokens beside them. That way we remember that they're in skirmishing. So the archers are, they have range to these skirmishers. So they're going to cast some arrows at them. Combat is done by company. So there are 4 companies or 4 bases in this unit. So each of them attacks individually. Now the archers aren't very skilled. So they're only rolling 2 dice. Now, the flip side of that is really none of these Confederates are wearing armor. So they'll have a pretty good chance to hit the Confederates. So they don't have to roll very high when they attack. However, this unit is skirmishing, so they get a little bit of a bonus. So normally the the archers would have to roll a 2 because basically when you're attacking creatures that have or attacking unit that has no armor, you're typically trying to you really only need to roll a 2 to hit them. In this case, since they are skirmishing, they get a +1 to the defense. So the archers need a 3. The skeleton archers need a 3 to hit. So first base, that's a 7 and 8. So that's 2 successes. The skirmishers must make a casualty check at this point. The casualty check number that I need to roll is 5 plus the number of successes. So that would be a 7. Roll 2 10s, so they passed. The second company of archers, only 1 success that time, so I need a 6. And I passed with a 9 and a 10. The third company, it's a 10 and a 6. A 10 is a critical. Anytime you are attacking and you roll a 10, that's an automatic breakpoint on the unit that you attacked. And that breakpoint represents several things. It represents fatigue, loss of morale, stress, injury. It's all the stuff that you see involved in a combat situation like this. So they still have to make their break check though. I got 2 successes, so they need a 7. And I failed. So that's another break check, or another break point rather. And the last company attacks. An 8 and a 10, another critical. So that's already these Confederate skirmishers are getting peppered pretty good by these arrows. But they did pass that casualty check, so they're not off to a good start here. So that's the skeletal archers. Now we go over to the Confederates. Now all these Confederates, every gun they have is slow firing. So every gun they have requires the second missile's order if they want to shoot. All of these have march orders, which means they cannot shoot. So actually, I guess we're done with march orders, I guess is what I'm saying at this point. So they actually cannot, even though they have march orders and they have missile weapons, their guns require second missiles if they want to shoot. So they actually cannot shoot at this point. Next up is hand-to-hand, which we have none. So going to second missiles. So again, the undead act first, and they do have their catapult. So they're gonna use their catapult here. Catapults only have 1 range, well 2 range technically. They do have a minimum range. And in this case, we're well out of the minimum, so we're just going to check the maximum. And we're going to target these skirmishers again. And it's kind of close, but we're going to say they have line of sight. The catapult has line of sight. It is a little close. They could, if they did not have line of sight, they could use indirect fire or an indirect shot. That would give the skirmishers a decent defense bonus. All right, so again, we got 2 dice, and they still get their skirmishing defense bonus. So we need 3s, and that's two successes with a 9 and a 3. So my casualty check number is a 7 here. And I just barely passed. I got a 7 on one roll and a 1 on the other. Had I failed, then that 1 would actually result in a kill. But I'm sure we'll see that at some point during the game. So that's it for the undead. Let's go over to the Confederates now. They have a couple of units with second missiles. The smoothbore muskets, they're well. All the undead are well out of range, so we're not even going to worry about that. We're going to go ahead and look at the cannon now. So we're treating this cannon as a medium cannon. So I should say a medium smoothbore cannon. So maybe like a Napoleon cannon, something like that. So now the advantage of shooting at this range anyway, this is going to be using a round ball or solid shot. The advantage of using a cannon with a round ball is that it has a chance to hit multiple targets. So basically we just kind of draw a straight line, from the cannon, and we can see that at this angle it's going to cross the giant, the whites, and the wraiths. So it's going to have a chance to do some pretty significant damage, and all this is within range. And actually, I'm going to check the giant. Giant is actually just out of short range. So we're going to roll 3 dice. First, we're going to target the giant, and we just double check the giant's defense. Defense is pretty low. It's only a 2. So large monsters like this giant aren't necessarily. I'm sorry, it's a 4. But large creatures like this giant aren't necessarily aren't necessarily difficult to hit. Though we have a mechanic in place that makes them more difficult to damage, and we'll see that. So normally the giant's defense is a 4, though the cannon is reducing that down to a 3. So I need 3s to hit that giant. And I rolled a 2, a 7, and an 8, so that's 2 successes. Now I'm going to grab some other dice here. So normally, with most units in the game, they're going to roll their casualty check here, and they would need a 7 on their casualty check, rolling 2 dice. Now the giant has a special ability called toughness that gives him more dice to roll. So instead of rolling 2 dice, he's going to be rolling 4 dice for this casualty check. So these blue dice here represent the toughness dice. We make them a different color because the toughness dice can't actually count towards a straight up kill. So let's roll. So I need a 7, and that's actually a really good roll here. I rolled a 1, an 8, and 2 9s. So the giant was not affected by that cannon shot. However, I did hit. Even though I didn't damage him, I did hit, because when I rolled my attack dice, there was at least 1 success in there, which means I did hit. So with the cannonball, that means the ball continues forward, and it's going to strike those whites next. So the whites are a little better armored. So my target number for those whites to hit is a 6. So I need 6s. And there's 2 successes. One of them's a critical. So I'm going to put a break token on those whites. The whites do not have toughness, so my casualty check number here is a 7. And I passed with a 7 and a 3. All right, but again, I hit, so the ball continues traveling, and it's going to strike those wraiths next. Now, the wraiths have really low armor. It's only a 2. But they have a special ability here that we'll show off in a moment. So I only need 2s. I rolled low, but that's still 3 successes. I got a 3, a 4, and a 4. Now those wraiths are ethereal, and that means any attacks that actually hit them must be confirmed. So all 3 of these hit, but we have to roll again to see if they actually hit. In this case, they did. I rolled a 3, a 3, and a 7. So all 3 still hit. And that means my casualty check number here is an 8. And I passed with an 8 and a 6. So that's it for the cannon. The ball just kind of continues going forward. They can't shoot because they're just well out of range. And no one else has second missiles. So that's going to be the end of this turn. Well, the end of combat, rather. We are going to go into the end phase. There's a couple things that take place here. One of the most important is units that have these breakpoints, they get a chance to rally off those breakpoints. So think of this as maybe the leader of the unit kind of rallying the unit around the banner, kind of giving them a nice pep talk. Maybe some soldiers catch a second wind, or those 2 injured are kind of rotated out. Wherever the case is, we get a chance to remove some of those break tokens. So The whites are going to roll first. This is just a simple command check. Now, unlike most command checks, in which case you only need one success, with this rally mechanic, you want, well, I'll say the more successes you have, the better. Each success allows you to remove one break check or one break token. So let's roll for the whites. There's an 8 and a 6, so they remove theirs. Now the skirmishers over here they're in pretty rough shape. They have 3. You can only have break tokens up to your presence. This is 2 units of infantry. I'm sorry, 2 companies of infantry. Each company gives you a presence of 1. That means their total presence is 2. Since they are over that, there's a chance they can either, if they don't remove one of these, I should say, they're either going to retreat or they're going to ride off the field altogether. So we need to remove at least one of those. And there we go, 4 and a 6. So they got rid of 1. So they are basically at their breakpoint value. They're not above it, but they're at it. Now what that means, if a unit is at its breakpoint value, that unit cannot advance. They're a bit shaken. They're on the verge of just of retreating or just routing altogether. So this unit on the upcoming turn cannot advance forward. They can shoot, and if they're engaged in hand combat, they can fight, but they cannot advance towards the enemy. But that's probably okay, because at this point they are well within range of the skeletons. So anyway, that's it for turn 1. Let's go on to turn 2. We're going to start turn 2. We have all of our orders issued already. So let's jump into initiative. Here's our undead. A 6 and a 9. That's 2 successes. Our Confederates. A 1 and a 1. Hopefully that's not I guess I should say hopefully for the Confederates, that's not a harbinger of things to come for this turn, but the Undead win initiative, so they go first. So let's go on to review order some movement. Let's activate our cavalry. They continue forward with march orders. I'm going to activate the cannon with second missile, so again, they don't move. Our giant, going to ponder forward here. Our smoothbore muskets, they do not move. The archers here, I gave them first missiles. Similar to second missiles, they do get act first when combat comes, but they cannot move. So these archers, I gave them first missiles. That means they act first in combat, but they cannot move. So I'm going to activate our skirmishers here. And I may, again, so they have 2 break tokens, which means they are right at their break point, which means they cannot advance, which is okay at this point because their guns, the undead, are within range anyway. So under a different circumstance, this may have been pretty challenging because it means they really couldn't advance, but we're okay right now with this. Activate our infantry here. They're going to move forward. They're on second missiles, so they do not move. Let's activate our whites. They move forward. Second missiles, this line does not move. And activate our wraiths. March, they're going to move forward. Second missiles for that line, they don't move. Second missiles for the catapult, they don't move. And I think that's, oh, I'm sorry, I missed these guys, sorry. Second missiles, they also don't move. First missiles, those archers, they don't move. That's it for the Confederates. So we just have our dragon remaining. He is still soaring. He's going to fly 15 centimeters over here. And again, he's flying and he's soaring, so he's really high. So even though it looks like he's right in front of these skirmishers, he's really not there. So he can't be targeted this particular turn. All right, that is it for review orders of movement. Now let's go on to combat. So first missiles. We do have a couple of units on first missiles. We have these archers here, and they're going to continue casting their arrows at these skirmishers. So they get 2 dice to attacking, and we need 3s to hit. Oh, there's a 10 and a 1, so that's a break point. I need a 6 on my casualty check, and I fail. So that's another casualty check. So these skirmishers are in rough shape right now. The second company, 2 more successes. Again, I fail the casualty check. They have a lot of breakpoints. They're in bad shape. Third company, 1 success. I passed that one. And the last company, another critical, 2 more successes. But I did pass that casualty check. So they have a lot of breakpoints. So they can't rally off this many at the end of the turn. So at the end of this turn, they're either going to be retreating or just routing completely from the battle. So this next, hopefully they'll be able to do something in this next turn, because if not, that might be the only thing they do in the game. All right, so the Confederates have no first missiles. We'll go to these archers, and similarly, they will cast their arrows at these skirmishers here. So again, we need 3s. Oh, there's another breakpoint. The undead are just laying on the breakpoints today. I need 7. Passed. Second company that's 2 successes. I passed the casualty check. The third company attacks. 2 successes. An 8, so I passed that casualty check. And the fourth company, only 1 success that time. And I passed that one as well. Okay, that could have turned out a lot worse. All right, now we go on to units with march orders that have missiles. We have none. We have no hand combat. So let's go to second missiles. We'll do our catapult again. The catapult at this point does not have line of sight. We're just going to we're going to lob an attack at these skirmishers here. Now, without line of sight, this is really an indirect shot. So normally the skirmishers, they have a 2 defense. They're skirmishing, so they have a 3. With an indirect shot like this, they get an additional 3. So their defense is 6. And I got 1 success in that attack. So I need a 6 on my casualty check. And I passed. There's a 10 right there. So that catapult did nothing. And there's no more second missiles for the undead, so we're just going to kind of go down the line with the Confederates here. All right, so let's see. So we have some options here with this cannon. It can continue to fire a round shot. However, the giant and this cavalry, they are within range of canister shot. Now, the difference here with canister shot is that you're attacking a single company. So whereas a round shot could continue, straight down, the canister shot will be attacking, for example, just that giant. There's no chance to attack anything else there. But you're rolling more dice. There's a better chance of doing damage with just that canister shot. And we need that for the giant. So we're going to do canister shot against that giant. So normally I'm rolling 3 dice. I get 2 extra dice with the canister shot at this range. And I'm reducing the giant's defense down to a 3. So I need 3s to hit. Well, that could have been a better roll. So only 3 successes out of all that. That's not really all that impressive, or not that good, I should say. So I need an 8 on my casualty check. So he has his toughness dice, so I'm rolling 4 dice. I need one of these to be an 8. And he failed every single one of them. Now, here's where the toughness dice comes into to play. Normally, when a unit fails a casualty check, if any of the rolls are equal to or lower than a weapon's kill number, then that unit does not receive a breakpoint. Instead, the unit is just removed from the game as a casualty. Now, the kill number for this canister shot is a 3. So if I fail the casualty check and I roll a 3 or less on these dice, then the giant doesn't receive a breakpoint. Instead, he's removed as a casualty. However, toughness dice cannot count towards that kill. So even though I have a 3 here on that toughness dice, since it is a toughness dice, it doesn't matter. The toughness dice can only benefit you. So this is really, at this point, just a regular failed casualty check. So he just gets a breakpoint. All right, that is it for the cannon. We're still out of range for our smoothbore muskets, so they're not doing anything. Let's go on to our skirmishers here. And they might be they are out of short range. So we're at long range, but we still get a bonus dice because we have rifle muskets. So normally, let's walk through this real quick. Normally, I'm rolling 3 dice. Skirmishers, they lose dice when they attack. They don't get that volley effect. However, the rifle musket at this range gives them another dice, a bonus dice. So we're right back to 3. So I'm rolling 3 dice. These skeletons have no armor, I believe. Let me double check that. I'm sorry, they do have shields. I misspoke. I'm getting rid of one of those points, though. So the defense is a 3, so I need 3s. Well, it's a pretty bad roll. A 1, a 2, and a 10. At least I got a 10 out of that, so that's a break point. The casualty check here for the undead, I need a 6, and I passed. The second company of skirmishers attacks. There's 3 successes, so I need an 8. And I passed, an 8 and a 2. So they really didn't do that much here. Take that off. They could get off. They don't really have line of sight. They can take a shot at the archers, and they can take a shot at those at the skeletal warriors there. So we'll do the archers first. They're formed up, so they're not getting that -1. So I need 2s to hit here. There's 4 successes. My casualty check number then is a 9. And that's a failure. I rolled pretty bad. That's a 1 and a 2. So I failed the casualty check, and I rolled equal to or less than the weapon's kill number. The kill number on those muskets is a 2. So one of those units, or one of those companies of archers, is simply removed from the game. All right, they're going to shoot at the infantry here. My defense is a 3. So that's a 10. There's a break point. But I did roll 2 2s in there, so that wasn't too good. So my casualty check number here is a 7. And, well, again, the same thing. I rolled a 2 and a 6. I needed a 7 since I failed the casualty check, and I rolled equal to or lower than the weapon's kill number. We lose a company of skeletal infantry. So, even though I didn't roll particularly well in the attack, the skeletons rolled even worse on their casualty check. All right, let's go over here. and our skirmishers here will shoot across at the archers. So again, 3 dice. I need 2s. There's a 10, so that's a breakpoint. We've got 3 successes, so I need an 8 on the casualty check. And I'm getting all sorts of kills today. So I failed the casualty check again with a 3 and a 1. So again, I failed the casualty check and I rolled equal to or lower than their weapon's kill number. So we lose another company of archers. The second company of skirmishers shoots. We got 3 successes, so I need an 8. Passed that time with 2 9s. And we'll say that this company back here also has line of sight, so we'll give them an attack. They roll 4 dice. There's another 10, so that's another breakpoint on the archers. 3 successes overall, so I need an 8 on my casualty check. And there's an 8, so they passed. All right, that's the end of combat. Let's go on to the end turn, and we're going to try to rally off some of these breakpoints. Start with the giant. There's a 6, so he gets rid of his. We'll do the skeletal infantry here. A 3 and a 6. So that's 1 success, so they get rid of 1. We'll check our archers there. A 10 and a 7, so they get rid of both of theirs. We're going to go for our skirmishers here. A 5 and a 1. They fail both, so they don't get rid of theirs. And it's a little academic, but we still want to go through it because there's a chance that, I mean, if they don't rout off the table, they could conceivably come back. So first thing we do here is we try to get rid of some of these breakpoints from these skirmishers. A 10 and an 8, so that's good. It's a good start. They get rid of 2 of them, but they're still over their breakpoint value. The breakpoint value is a 2. They are at a 4, so they are over their breakpoint value. So now we must make another command check. If they pass this check, they simply retreat back. If they fail, they rout from the table, they rout from the battle completely. So let's roll. A 6 and a 3, and my target number here is a 6, so they pass. That means they get moved back at their charge pace, and they kind of ignore everybody else, so they get moved back 15 centimeters. Now at this point, and they're still over they still keep their break tokens, and on the next turn, they're going to try to rally off more. If they don't get rid of them, then they're going to keep either retreating or they're going to rout. Units that are above their breakpoint value do not get issued in order. So when the next turn comes up, you will see this unit without in order. That is it for turn 2. Let's go on to turn 3. We are in turn 3 of our Undead versus Confederate battle. Again, just kind of reiterate, this unit of skirmishers, Confederate skirmishers, since they are above their breakpoint value, they do not get issued in order this turn. So let's go on to initiative. Do our Undead first. 7 and a 4, Confederates. 5 and a 5. No successes for the Confederates, 1 for the Undead, so the Undead act first. We will activate our giant, and he is going to charge across the battlefield and does not make contact with the Confederates. He is close, very, very close. Confederates, second missiles with their muskets. Cavalry, they will move forward at a march pace. Second missiles with our cannon. Our whites move forward. second missiles with our rifle line here. Wraiths. Our skirmishers, we're going to move them at this point. So they have charge orders, and they are simply going to move up this way. Now they're skirmishers, so they are not, normally if a unit does move at that charge pace and they don't come into contact with an enemy, they must make a check to avoid becoming disorganized. Since they are skirmishers, they are not affected by that condition, so they are free to do what they want to do there. Our skeletal archers are going to move up a bit. They drove off those skirmishers they were shooting at. Second missiles here. Our infantry will continue moving forward. Or skeletal warriors, rather, I guess I should say. Second missiles here. First missiles on those archers. There are no more Confederates to activate. Second missiles on that catapult. And now we're going to activate the dragon. So the dragon is going to move right there, and he is now going down to airborne. So at that point, that means he can attack. Now he's not on the ground, so he cannot engage in hand combat, even though he's that close. He's not engaging in hand combat with the Confederates, so he can use his breath weapon, which I guess for an undead dragon would be like some kind of necrotic energy or something. So that's it for review orders and movement. Let's go on to combat. First missiles, we do have some archers here with first missiles. They're going to take cast some more arrows at those skirmishers. Skirmishers are still at long range, so I need 3s to hit here. There's 2 successes, so my target number is a 7 for my casualty check. I failed. It's another break check. The next company of archers, 2 more successes. I failed again. These poor guys these skirmishers, they just can't seem to pass. And the last company is 2 more successes, and they passed that one with a 10. So they did get a couple break points on there. So to kind of reiterate with Ages of Conflict, your casualties are great. I mean, we did see the last turn, we saw several companies of undead get removed from the battlefield. Though, really the goal for the most part is to try to inflict break points, and you can see that by attacking. If you hit a company, if you're engaged in hand combat, and you can hit that company from the side or from the flank or the rear. More break points. Charging into hand combat has a chance to inflict break points. So it's not so much about inflicting casualties, which are great, and we all like to see units come off the board. Though it's also just about trying to break units as well. So just trying to make them run away. All right, that is it for first missiles, units with march orders and missiles. We do have these skeletal archers, and they are going to cast their missiles at this line here. Now, I only need 2s to hit. Again, the Confederates aren't wearing armor. This is kind of one of the when you start mixing genres here. The Confederates have much. Well, I guess if you take the dragon and the giant out of the picture, they really have an advantage in firepower, right? Because they are using guns. Though at this point in warfare, you really didn't see troops wearing armor. I guess you saw the last of it more or less with with the Napoleonic Wars, but by this point, soldiers really weren't wearing armor. It wasn't effective against guns, so they just kind of discarded it. So as a result, their defense is much lower than what you might see with a standard unit of say Roman soldiers or what have you. So anyway, need 2s to hit. There's 2 successes. My casualty check number is a 7. I failed. Next attack, 2 successes, so I need a 7. There's a 10, so I pass. In the last 2 successes, there's another 10, so that wasn't too bad. Only one breakpoint that time. All right, that is it for march orders and missiles. Now we're going to go to hand-to-hand, and again, even though this dragon is right there, it looks like he's in hand-to-hand, he's still flying, so he's not actually in hand-to-hand combat. So now we're going to go on to second missiles. And so we have a couple of units now with the undead that can attack. We'll go ahead and... So with the alternating actions, one thing you really have to consider is in what order are you going to activate your units. So the undead at this point have 2 units that could activate with second missiles. They have the catapult here, and the dragon's breath weapon. That's what we call an independent weapon. So it's going to go off on second missiles also. Even though he moved, which normally prevents a unit from using anything that requires second missiles, the independent weapon special ability separates the weapon, which in this case is the breath weapon, from the unit itself. So this is something you would see with, say, chariots, highly skilled horse archers, and when you start going into World War II and sci-fi, you're going to see it a lot more. So I'm the undead player. I have to choose, do I want the catapults to go first or the undead, or the undead dragon, knowing that if I do the catapults first, and then the Confederate player is going to go right over here and say, well, I'm going to activate these guys first and hopefully get off a lucky shot and just blow the dragon out of the sky before he ever gets a chance to use his breath weapon. So the smart thing to do as the undead player is to simply activate the dragon first. So he's going to attack first. So here's how here's how combat with a flyer works. So normally when we're dealing with a ranged attack, we check the horizontal distance. We also, in this case, have to consider the vertical distance. How high up the flyer is. So there's 2 ways you can do that. You can make it random. So in this case, what we do is we just roll a d10. In this case, say I rolled a 5. So what we would do is we would measure the distance, the vertical distance, and then add a 5 to it. Now in this case, they're basically right on top of each other. So we can think of the dragon basically as being right over the Confederates. So that means he's 5 centimeters away. Now let's say the weapon I'm using here, the breath weapon, has a really short range. I don't want to rely upon that random die roll. I could specify. I could say, well, he's only going to be 1 centimeter high. So you have some options there. In this case, we're going to go just with the random. So he's 8 centimeters high, and then we measure the vertical distance, which is, 1 centimeter maybe. So he's 9 total centimeters away from the Confederates, which is well within his breath weapon range. So now at this range, he is rolling a considerable, if I can say the word, number of dice. He has a major breath weapon, so it's really he's rolling a lot of dice for that. So in total, he's rolling 7 dice. 7 dice. There's my 7th dice. So he's rolling 7 dice when attacking these Confederates. So Good chance he's taking one of these troops out. Again, they only need they're not wearing armor, so he only needs 2 to hit, and we got 5 successes out of that, which means their casualty check number here is a 10. I need a 10. That's it, right? Easy. I failed, but I did not roll the kill number. The kill number on that breath weapon is a 2. I rolled a 3 and a 6, so it's just a break token. So it could have been worse. Could have been worse. Now, normally, the benefit of a dragon staying, up in the air and attacking with a breath weapon is that he'd be attacking normal infantry, which, say, would not be able to attack back. That's carrying, spears or swords or whatever, and they wouldn't be able to attack him back. In this case, he flew up against a unit that has a bunch of rifled muskets. So they are going to let loose with quite a bit of musket shot here. Now at this range, again, we use that same distance we checked earlier. So he's 9 centimeters away, or he's 8 centimeters high, and then we check to see how far away he is, say from this last one. He's about 5 centimeters, so 13 total centimeters for that one. So basically, he's within short range of that entire line. So they're getting 2 bonus dice when they're attacking that dragon. The armor piercing has reduced the dragon's defense down to a 2. So we only need 2s to hit, and we got 4 companies of rifled muskets here attacking. Right, there's 4 successes, so I need a 9 on my casualty check. Now that dragon has extremely high toughness. He has a toughness of 4, so he's rolling 4 bonus dice, so he's rolling 6 total dice when he's rolling his casualty check. So he only needs 1 of these to be a success. A success in this case being a 9. There's a couple 10s in there, so he passed that one. Here's the second company attacking. There is a 10. That's a critical on the dragon. Break point. And that's 5 successes, so he needs a 10. And, well, that's just not the dragon's day. So he failed. There are no 10s in here. But at that point, we take all the toughness dice out because they can't hurt. However, when we look at the regular casualty dice, we can see that he failed, and he rolled a 4 and a 1, which is lower. It's equal to or lower than the weapon's kill number. So the dragon just got shot out of the sky by those rifled muskets. Now, we do have a lot of special abilities in Ages of Conflict, and you can kind of mix and match and add however you want. Some people might like to make their monsters a little bit tougher. So there is an ability called Hard to Kill, which we do attach to certain creatures. I don't have any zombies on the table here with these undead, though it's something we attach to zombies, for example. And he's a zombie dragon, so you can maybe make the case he should have Hard to Kill. And what that does is you're allowed to re-roll a single casualty die. So I would take the 1 that resulted in the kill, I'd roll it again, 10, he would pass that casualty check. So he would actually be alive, though I did not give him that ability. So he is gone. 1 dead dragon. Little dragon parts falling out of the sky. So they are done. They cannot shoot because they were given charge orders. I'm sorry, charge orders. Well, regardless, we're actually going back over to our undead here. They get to go now. we're going to say they have line of sight here to this unit, so they will attack. I need 2s. There's a critical, so it's an automatic break point. And I need a 7 on my casualty check, and I failed. It's not a kill, so it's just another break point. So they have 3 at this point. So they're starting to gather some break points. Back over to our Confederates. They can't attack. They can attack. Let's see, they can attack, and they can attack. The Undead have no more second missile, so I'm just going to kind of go from left to right here and finish off the Confederates. So the cannon, they have some choices to make. They have this cavalry coming right at them here. They also have this giant that's about to smash into the infantry. So I believe in concentrated fire. So those cannons, they're going to take another round of canister shot at that giant. Let's check the range, see if I'm within short range. Actually, I know I'm not within short range. Oh well, it's closer than I thought. Just out of short range of the canister shot. It was closer than I thought. I'm glad I checked. I get 2 extra dice here. His defense is being reduced down. All right, so let's attack. It's being reduced down to a 3. So I need 3s. Well, that's a nice roll. There's a break point. Now I rolled 2 10s when I attacked that time. So, but the number of 10s rolled doesn't matter. Even though I rolled 2 10s, I don't inflict 2 break points. It's still just 1 break point regardless of the number of criticals you roll. So that's 5 successes. Now let's see if they get lucky with that giant, just like the rifleman did with that dragon. All right, so I need a 10, and well, let me double check here. Did I just get? Well, okay. Well, we kind of had the same thing just happen here. So I needed a 10. None of those are 10s. So we take the toughness dice out, and we just look at the regular dice. I rolled a 3 and a 5. The kill number for that canister shot is a 3. So the giant is gone. Not a good round at all for the Undead. All right, that's it for them. That may have put, and that they are just out of range. So they are no longer, they were going to shoot at the giant, but the giant's no longer there, and the cavalry here is just out of range. So that's going to wrap up. Oh, no, it's not. I'm sorry. They still get to shoot. We're at long range, but they're all going to shoot at the infantry there. And so I get 4 dice at this range. And their defense is going down to a 3. Now there's a break point, and I got 4 successes. So I need 8. I failed with a 2 and a 6. So again, I hit the kill number. So that's another casualty. The 2nd company attacks. Only 2 successes that time. And I fail, but it's not a kill, at least. The 3rd company attacks. There's another break point. And 4 overall successes. Well, again I failed, and again I rolled that casualty check, so a 5 and a 1. So another one's gone, and the last company, another break point, and 4 successes, and another kill. Rolled a 4 and a 1. So again, I failed and rolled that kill number. So they just obliterated those undead. All right, that will be it for second missiles. So end of the turn. Let's try to rally off some breakpoints. We'll do our line here and get rid of one. We'll do our skirmishers over here, and they're above their breakpoint value, so they need to get rid of at least one of these. They do, so they are right at their breakpoint value, which means they cannot move the next turn. Let's see that we have our skirmishers back here. They need to get rid of 2, and they do, a 7 and a 9, so they get rid of 2 of theirs. So again, they're at their breakpoint value, so they can't advance. But at least they are not going to immediately just flee. All right, that is it for this turn. Let's go on to the next. All right, next turn. Orders are issued. Let's roll initiative. Undead. 5 and a 7, so that's 1 success. Confederates. 4 and a 1. No successes, so the undead get to go first. And that's important here, because as the undead player, there's one thing there's an order I need to get off before the Confederates do, and that is the cavalry here. I need them to be able to charge in to this cannon before the Confederate player goes, because as a Confederate player, if they had gone first, there's a good chance they're just moving right into here to try to at least protect the cannons. But not happening. They move in. They come into contact with the cannon. And oh, I'm sorry, let me back up one thing here. First, I forgot. The whites, they have a higher presence than the cannons do. So the cannons are forced to make a presence check, which they pass. That means they don't immediately just flee from combat. So they take the charge. Now, the way we treat engines in Ages of Conflict, basically if they are engaged in hand combat, they are removed from the game. So these cannons are just simply removed. They're gone. Confederates charge. Again, their intention here, if they won initiative, was to move as fast as they can to try to intercept the incoming cavalry, but they lost initiative, so that did not happen. So they were just simply given charge orders. They're actually going to wheel back a bit. Now, they moved at a charge. They had a charge order. They moved. They did not come into contact with the enemy, so they must make a command check. They passed. If I had failed, they would be disorganized. Undead. March in. Second missiles there, so they do not move. Wraiths. They march in. Second missiles here. Again, they cannot move because they are at their breakpoint, so they do not move. Undead. Archers. First missiles. Second missiles. Again, they can't move either. First missiles, so they don't move. March. They are going to begin redeploying a bit, kind of moving around, just trying to get in a little better position. Catapult, second missiles, march, same situation. They're going to start moving forward a bit. All right, that's it for reveal orders and movement. Let's go on to combat. First missiles, The Undead have a couple of units, Confederates have none. So these archers will cast their arrows at the Confederates. I only need 2s to hit. There's 2 successes, so I need 7 on my casualty check. Passed. Second attack, there's a 10, so that's a critical. 2 hits, so again I need a 7. Passed. And the third company attacks. 5 and a 4. Again, I only need 2s, so that's 2 successes. I need a 7 on the casualty check, and I passed. There is an 8. This unit of archers is going to try to rain down some arrows on their skirmishers. See if we can get them to break. So they have a 3 since they're skirmishing. 3 defense, I should say. That's 2 successes. So I need a 7. Pass with a 10. Second company. 2 successes. So I need a 7. And I failed. So there's a break point. And the third company. There's a 10, so that's another break point. And I need a 7 on my casualty check, and I passed. Okay. So there's they put a couple break points on there, several break points on those units. So that's or a couple, I should say. So that's kind of did their job. March, we have no units with march orders with missiles that can attack. Again, their muskets require second missiles. We have no hand-to-hand since since that giant just got blown down by that canister shot. So let's go on to second missiles. Undead catapult. It's going to try to put a shot right here. No, 1 success. There's a 1 and a 7. And I failed the casualty check. And I got that kill number. So I rolled a 2 on the kill check, or on the casualty check. So that is it's a 1 dead or 1 casualty for the Confederates there. Let's check the Confederates. They cannot attack. They can attack. They have a couple targets to choose from. Probably be smarter to shoot at those whites, but that'll be kind of, they wouldn't actually be able to target them too well. So we're gonna shoot at the archers. Try to get rid of that nuisance. Need 2s. That's 4 successes. Failed the casualty check. That's a break point. Second company. 4 successes, 2 10s, so they passed that casualty check. And the third company, it's 4 successes, but just barely. And they failed the casualty check. I needed a 9. I failed, so I rolled a 5 and a 1. So that is a casualty. So they are gone. Undead have no more second missiles. The Confederates, the skirmishers over here, can shoot out of short range, but they can shoot at those archers over here. So that's 2 successes, so I need a 9. And I failed again. And again, I hit the kill number, so I rolled a 4 and a 1. That's another casualty. And the second company of skirmishers. There's a break point. And I got 3 successes out of that. And again, I failed the casualty check, and again, I rolled the kill number, 2 and a 1. So that is another casualty. So the undead are just getting blown down by these muskets. And that is it for second missiles. Let's go on to the end of the turn. Let's try to rally off some breakpoints. We'll do the undead first. Here, they pass, so they remove. Archers, they pass. Confederates here, they are right at their breakpoint value, and they got rid of 2 of them, so they did quite well. Skirmishers, They don't remove any of theirs. Line here. They pass and get rid of one. And these skirmishers have to get rid of some. They got rid of one, not enough. They need to get rid of two. So they're still above the breakpoint. So let's see what happens. And again, so if I pass this casualty check, they just retreat. If they fail, they rout from the table completely. I failed because I rolled a 5 and a 5. So this unit of skirmishers routes. When a unit routes from the table like that, so they've exceeded their breakpoint and they fail the subsequent command check and they rout. If there are any friendly units that have line of sight and are within 10 centimeters, they must also make a command check. If they fail, they are inflicted with 2 breakpoints. Both these units are within 10 centimeters. This one just barely so, but they are there. They both have line of sight, so they both must check. They failed, so they get 2 breakpoints. And this unit, they pass, so they do not receive any breakpoints. These skirmishers are gone. That is it for that's it for this turn. Let's go on to the next turn. Let's go on to the next turn. You know, the game, I know it looks pretty dire for the Undead. They've suffered many more casualties, including the two biggest hitters. But we're going to keep this going for a few more turns. I'm interested to see if the Undead can get into hand combat and then what's going to happen as a result of that. Once we have our orders issued, let's go ahead and roll initiative. 4 and a 3 for the Undead. That's no successes. Confederates at 10 and a 4, so 1 success. So the Confederates are going to activate first. We will issue here second missiles, so they will stay put. Cavalry, we're going to charge them. Now they're not going to make it to the infantry. They're really just trying to get there as quickly as they possibly can at this point. Though again, they are a formed unit that moved to charge pace and did not meet an enemy, so they must make a command check. A 10 and a 7, they passed. If they had failed, they would become disorganized. Confederates, second missiles, they do not move. Archers, first missiles, they do not move. Whoops, wrong way. Second missiles, again, I gave them second missiles. They're not really going to be able to do anything, but with two tokens, they're at their breakpoint, so they actually can't move regardless. Undead, whites, they're going to move. They're going to start converging in on this infantry here. March, that token, they are no longer there. They are going to move up a bit of a wheeling action here. Undead, first missiles, they're not going to move. And then march here, so they're going to kind of come up right behind. Second missiles, they are not going to move either. And the last unit we have are the Wraiths, and they're just going to move up. Actually, you know what? They're going to do something a little bit different. They are going to move over in that direction. Get them prepared to engage that infantry. All right, that is it for review, orders, and movement. Let's go on to combat. First missiles, we have our archers here. We have our archers. They're going to take some shots at the infantry. We're still well out of short range, so we got 2 dice, and I need 2s. 2 successes, so I need a 7 on my casualty check. I passed. The second unit, or second company rather, passed that casualty check. So they are done. 1 lone company over here on first missiles. We'll cast here. 2 successes. And they passed their casualty check as well, so they are done. No one with march orders with missiles. We have no hand-to-hand. Let's go to second missiles. They cannot shoot because they have march. They'll shoot here. So they're going to shoot at the incoming whites. I'm just checking range here. When we check range, we measure from closest point on the base to closest point on the base. So we have these two companies. They're actually at short range. And so with their rifle muskets, they're going to get 2 extra dice. That's 5 dice. There's a break point, and I got 5 successes there. So the whites need a 10. Oh, I'm sorry, I messed up. Let me go back and do that again. Again, they are ethereal, so they must, the Confederates, they must basically roll all these again to confirm the hit. And they did. So I actually shouldn't have issued that break token there, but I did get another 10 anyway, so they still got it. So again, like 10 on my casualty check. I failed. That's another break point on the whites. The second company. Again, I confirmed all hit, but I got to confirm. There's a 10. They still all hit. So another break point. And the last company, all hit. Let's confirm. Another 10. Oh, the whites or the rates are getting shot up here. And they passed that casualty check at least. So you could beef them up a bit. I mean, ethereal without armor is still easy to hit them. So maybe these guys should have a little heavier armor to make that ethereal a little more effective. But that's it for them. The catapult is going to they're going to put a boulder or a rock or whatever they're launching right over here. Severed heads, who knows? That's a hit. And past the casualty check, I needed a 7, and there's a 7. So no effect from the catapult. Second missiles here with our muskets, or smoothbore muskets, I should say. And they're all going to shoot at that incoming cavalry. That's probably the bigger threat. They're all at long range. Now those are pretty well armored whites. So I need sevens to hit. Actually, it's going to get reduced by 1. So I need 6 to hit. I just had to check to make sure I had that right. So 6 is to hit the cavalry actually. 1 success. So I need a 6 past that casualty check. Second company attacks. No successes. And the third company. 1 success. And they pass that casualty check. So those smoothbore muskets didn't really do anything that time. That's it for them. They really can't shoot anybody. They're on march, so they can't do anything. That's the end of combat. Let's go on to the end phase. Let's see if we can rally off some breakpoints. Wraiths. These wraiths need to get rid of 2 of these. A 9 and a 6. They did it. They got rid of 2. Now the wraiths are actually, if you remember at the beginning of the video, I talked about simple undead and sentient undead. Wraiths are considered sentient undead, so they are actually affected by the breakpoints. Let's try to rally off this one. They do not. And let's try to rally off these 2. They do. That's good for them. And we have our skirmishers here. See if they can rally. They get rid of 1, so they can actually do something this next turn, or move, I should say. So basically, you kind of saw here with this one. Remember, this unit originally they were up here, they got shot up pretty good, retreated back, and then over the course of a couple of turns, they managed to rally off all those breakpoints. So they're basically right back in the fight. All right, that's the end of the turn. Going to continue on with the next turn. We'll go one, maybe two more turns here, just kind of just depending upon how things go. Orders are issued, so let's do initiative. Undead, 10 and a 6, that's 2 successes. 10 and a 4 for the Confederates. So 1 success, the Undead are going to go first. So what we're going to see here is probably, at least for a bit, the Undead kind of gaining the upper hand, because at this point, they're going to start engaging in hand combat, which they are, I think, a little better equipped to do than the Confederates. So the Confederates still have a lot of rifled muskets over here. So it's going to be interesting to see, I guess what the Undead do here. See if they can kind of sweep through here and maybe engage these rifled muskets. Anyway, so let's go on. Review orders and movement. We have a charge here by the cavalry, by these whites. So here we have to look at the presence of the 2 units. So the whites, they have a presence. This unit has a presence of 6. So each base is a presence of 2. There's 3 bases, so it's 6. The Confederates here, they only have a presence of 3. So since the whites have a higher presence when they charge in, the Confederates have to make a command check. If they fail this check, they are issued 2 break tokens as a measure of loss of confidence. They're kind of wavering. So let's make our check. And they passed, a 3 and a 9. So no break checks incoming. All right, so they're going to charge in here. Now the Confederates actually, let me just kind of move them back a little bit to kind of complete the explanation here. So they passed the break check, or not the break check. They passed the command check to see if they would receive any break tokens. They passed, so now they actually get to make some response to that charge. So they were issued second missiles. If they were issued, say, charge or march, they could kind of counter charge. They also have the option to fall back as a response to that charge, which is probably the smarter option. I'm not going to do that, but it's probably the smarter option. If they had missile weapons that would allow them to cast as a response, then they could do that. So if they had bows, for example, they could do that. Their muskets don't allow them to actually respond to an enemy engaging in hand combat by shooting. So in this case, we're just going to kind of take the charge. Let's see. Second missiles here. The whites here are also going to charge in. Now their presence is the same. Theirs is 3 and the Confederates are 3. So there's no presence check required. And if we measure here, they can just make it in. Let's see. I gave these skirmishers over here charge orders, and they're actually going to move right over this way. Wraiths, I gave them charge, forgetting that they had 3 break tokens. So even though I gave them charge, intending to charge them into the infantry, I forgot that they have 3 break tokens, which is their breakpoint value, so they actually cannot advance. So even though I gave them charge orders, they actually can't advance. That's a mistake on my part. Second missiles here. March. These archers are going to kind of start moving over this way a bit. March, but I'm not going to move. First missiles. And that's it for the Confederates. So we'll do the catapult over here, second missiles. Okay, so that's it for review orders and movement. we're going to go on to combat. First missiles. We have the skeletal archers. I think I'm still out of, yeah, I was last time, so yeah. Still out of short range, so two dice. That's 2 successes. It's my casualty check. I fail, so that's a break point there. But they're done. There's only one company of them. We go on to units with march orders that have missile weapons, which would be our skeletons here. So we've got 2 companies attacking. I need 2s, and they're attacking here. That's 1 success. Passed that casualty check, and the second company attacks. It's a successful attack, so with only 1 though. And I passed the casualty check, so nothing there. All right, so now that's it for first missiles. That's it for March. We're going to go on to hand combat. We finally get some hand combat. So hand combat is simultaneous. So even if one of these companies is removed as a casualty, they still get to attack. So the Confederates here are going to be completely outclassed in this hand combat here. Now we're going to say 2 companies of the white cavalry can attack and 2 companies of the white infantry can attack. I'm just going to go and do all the undead first, and again it is simultaneous. So even if a company of Confederates are removed as a casualty, if they haven't attacked, they still get to attack. So let's do the cavalry. Again, whites, they're sentient undead, and they kind of represent maybe like undead champions or highly trained, veterans. So they're better than the average skeleton when it comes to combat. So they actually get a pretty decent amount of attack dice. So we got 6 dice for the cavalry, and we only need 2s to hit. There's 5 successes. So my casualty check is a 10. That's a failure, so that's a break point. The second company, there's a 10, so that's a break point. A stray token there. And 5 successes, so I need another 10. That's a failure, and most of your hand combat weapons are going to have a kill number of 2. So I failed the casualty check with a 7 and a 2, so that's going to be a kill. So I'm just going to slide one of these companies back a little bit. So they are getting removed as a casualty, but they haven't attacked yet. So I'm just kind of sliding them back. That way I remember I actually still get to attack with them. All right, let's go and do the white infantry. They are rolling 4 dice. There's another break token and 4 successes, so I need an 8. I got that. And the second company of whites, there's another break point and 4 more successes, so I need an 8. And I fail with a 6 and a 2, so that is another casualty. So these infantry, the Confederate infantry, are not holding up well in hand combat. All right, but they still get attacked back. So they're going to, we're going to say 1 is attacking the cavalry and 2 are attacking the white infantry. All right, so I need now the whites are pretty well armored, so I need 7s to hit. There's 1 success, so I need a 6. Passed. Second company, there's a critical on the infantry and 2 successes. Passed the casualty check. And the last company, there's another break point and 2 successes. And hey, they went out fighting at least. I needed a 7. I got a 6 and a 2, so that's a kill. So that's they at least went down fighting, I guess. So that hand combat's done. So we remove that white infantry and remove these 2 companies of Confederate soldiers. That is it for hand combat. Let's go to second missiles. We're going to do they're just out of short range. We're going to do all 3 of these. I'm sorry. The undead go first. I'm sorry, I messed up completely. So the undead, they're going to lob a catapult shot right there. I need 2s, 2 successes. And I need a 7 on the casualty check. Ooh, double 1s. So actually, that's kind of seeing the importance of the alternating actions here. Since the undead have initiative, they went first. They just took out one of the companies. So they just failed the casualty check with 2 1s. So that's actually casualty. So that's 1 less company now that's going to shoot at these wraiths. So it's going to do that shot now. They are both within short range, so they're going to get some extra dice. There's a breakpoint with a 10, and we've got 5 successes, so I need a 10 on the casualty check. Oh, you know what? I forgot to confirm again. Let me confirm. So I confirmed. They all still hit, but it's not actually there's no actual criticals in there. So 10 failed the casualty check. And the second company, only 4 of them hit that time, so I got to confirm 4. Oh, wow. So, and 2 of those actually end up missing. So out of all that, only 2 of them actually hit. And they passed the casualty check. So that ethereal actually worked out for them that time. All right, second missile's over here. So we've got 4 companies are going to shoot at that lone company of archers. This is long range. I need 2s. That's 3 successes, so I need an 8. And that did it for them. Failed the casualty check, and I rolled the kill number. So with the 1, so they are gone. They're out of the game. All right, that is it for combat. Let's try to rally off some breakpoints here. We'll start with the undead. We'll start with these wraiths. Got rid of 1, so they are still right at their breakpoint. So again, they cannot advance. Let's do the white infantry. I got rid of 1. Let's check the Confederates over here. They got rid of theirs. Confederates here. They got rid of theirs. And this unit is either retreating or falling, retreating or routing regardless. They have 4 and they only have a presence of 1. They got rid of 1 of them. So let's see what happens. Rolled a 4 and a 4, so they rout. They are gone. All right, that's the end of the turn. Let's do 1 more turn, I think. All right, we're getting down to the last turn or 2 of issued orders. Let's roll initiative. We have our undead, 5 and a 3, and Confederates with a 7 and a 4. So the Confederates win initiative. They will activate first. We'll go here. Second missiles. They're going to try to basically try to see if they can punch a hole here and basically get an escape route going. To activate these whites, they will march forward. And we'll activate these skirmishers. They're going to hang tight there. Cavalry. And they're basically going to try to swing up around. Infantry here. They're going to get in a little better position to pour some firepower. Again, with these wraiths, even though I gave them charge orders, they're at their breakpoint, so they cannot move. This cavalry, or this infantry, is actually just going to. They are going to move over, say 2, and then we're going to move them back. Oops, I'm going to get hung up on the tape measure. Moving back 8. First missile's there. That's all the Confederates, and then the catapult second missiles. All right, that is it for review orders of movement. Let's go on to combat. First missiles. These archers are going to shoot at the, they're going to loose their arrows at the Confederates here. There's a break point. Get 2 successes, so I need a 7. I pass with a 10. The second attack, 2 successes, and I passed with a 9. All right, so that is it for their attack. That is it for first missiles. No one with March has missiles that can attack. There's no hand. Let's go on to second missiles. The infantry here with their rifle muskets, they're all well within range of those wraiths, so they're going to get a couple extra dice. They're going to empty their muskets into those wraiths. Those are 5 hits. Let's confirm those. Okay, so that's still 5 hits. Now the second one, so we're confirming that doesn't mean they actually can. Actually, I did not get a critical on the first roll. So the second roll, basically, we're just rolling to confirm. I did get a 10 here, but this is basically just a confirmation roll. That's not actually a critical. That's still 5 hits, and that's a failure. I rolled a 7 on the casualty, 7 out of 1 on the casualty check, so that's actually a kill on the wraiths. The second attack, that's 4 hits. So let's confirm, and only 3 of those confirmed. So that's 3 hits. And I failed that casualty check, but just get a break point that time. So that's it there. Catapult. I'll try to put a big old boulder right there on these the infantry. That's 2 hits. And I passed the casualty check. There's a 7. Okay. And we'll do these skirmishers here. Well within range of the archers. They're going to shoot at these archers. So we need 2s. There's a critical and 4 hits. So I need a 9 on my casualty check. That's a pass. The second company attacks. That's not a very good roll. I got 2 1s out of that, so it's only 2 hits. So I need a 7 on the casualty check, and I passed there with an 8. That is it for combat. Let's go to the end of the turn. Let's try to rally off some breakpoints. We'll do the whites here first. I passed. They got rid of theirs. Let's do these archers. They did not get rid of theirs. The whites, they needed to get rid of 2. Yep, I'm sorry. The whites, they need to get rid of 2. They only got rid of 1. So now these are sentient undead. So they do have that sense of self-preservation. So unlike, say, the simple undead, they actually can retreat or en route. So let's make that second command check to see what happens, because they have 3 breakpoints and their presence is only a 2. So 6 and a 1. So they just retreat. So they're going to go back 15 centimeters. Oops. So that does clear out a little bit of space here. If that's kind of what they were hoping for. And let's try to rally off this break point off the Confederates, and they get rid of it. So, all right, let's go to the next turn. All right, let's do another turn. I may make this the last turn. I kind of keep saying that, and I keep going, but I'm kind of interested to see what happens here with these undead coming up from behind. So I keep going and going and going. Anyway, orders are issued. So let's roll initiative. Undead, 1 success. The Confederates also have 1 success, but the undead has a 10 on their die roll, whereas the Confederates have a 9. So the undead go first. Let's activate our whites here. Now they're going to march, and since they are within the threat zone of this Confederate, they can't just kind of move about however I want. So we actually have to either move to the front or to the back. So in this case, we're basically going to do a wheel. This is their goal here. So that's 5 and 5. Their goal here is to try to get these Confederates from behind. Confederates, I also gave them march. They aren't going to make it easy. They're going to move up, try to basically get away. Cavalry here. 5. You move up. Second missiles here. Second missiles on the catapult. Second missiles on these skirmishers. First missiles on the archers. March here. They are basically, I don't know if I can get myself situated. I should have moved all these casualties somewhere else. They are going to try to put themselves in a position where they can meet this cavalry that's coming in. And again, so the race over here, they actually don't get issued an order because they are above their breakpoint, so they do not get issued an order this turn. All right, let's go into combat. First missiles, archers. And I think I'm still out of, but I'm actually in short range now. Okay, so they get an extra dice in short range. There's a critical and 3 hits. So I needed 8, and I failed, but it's not a kill, so it's just another break point. The second company attacks, 3 successes, and it's another failure. So another. All right, that's it for first missiles. We have no one with march with missile weapons, no hand-to-hand combat. Let's go to second missiles. Catapult here. Gonna put a rock right in the middle of them. That's 2 hits, and they pass a casualty check. Now this line here, they are all gonna shoot at the archers. So that's 4 companies attacking. I need 2s. There's a break point. And we got 4 successes, so I need a 9 on casualty check. Pass. Second company, 4 successes, so I need a 9. There's a 10, that's a pass. Third company, that's 3 successes. And there's a kill. So I failed that casualty check with a 2 and a 1. So that's a kill, kill, kill. And the fourth company. Ooh, that's a bad roll. 2 1s out of that. And they failed the casualty check, but not a kill, just a break point. So pretty good round for them. The skirmishers here, they do have 360-degree line of fire, so they actually can shoot here at these incoming whites. So we're going to do that. So one company is going to fire at the whites. The other is going to put some more power, or some more fire, some more shots into the archers here. So they're at short range, so they're going to get 2 dice. And short range, the whites normally have a defense of 7. And short range, that's going to get reduced down to a 4. Oh, there's a critical and 3 hits, so I need an 8, and I failed. So that's 2 break points on the whites. The other company on the archers, that's 4 hits. I need a 9, and they passed with a 10. And that is it for second missiles. Let's go to the next turn. Oh, sorry, not the next turn. We had to do the end turn here. So let's try to rally off some breakpoints. We'll start with the whites. They get rid of one of theirs. The skeletal archers here, they need to get rid of 2, and they do. So they hang around. Wraiths, they get rid of 1, so they are back in the game. They can advance, but they're not in immediate danger of routing. The Confederates here, they need to get rid of 1, and they do. So, and we're just going to make that actually the last turn. This one's getting this little demo is getting a bit long, but I thought it was just kind of interesting because I really wanted to see what would happen. I mean, you can see basically that this at a distance, obviously the Confederates, especially with their rifle muskets, they just you could see even, I'm not saying the skeletons were particularly well armored, but you can see even the monsters had a little bit of a challenge with the rifle muskets. That was a bit of a fluke with them taking out the dragon. That was just an exceptionally bad roll. But you can see the canister shot with that giant, how deadly that is at that range. At that close proximity, that canister shot basically turns anything it hits into just a fine, I would say a fine red mist, but since this was a skeletal giant, that doesn't really apply, I guess. But you can see that when the undead get into hand combat, particularly the whites over here, they just steamrolled right through that one infantry, or that one unit of infantry of Confederate infantry. They didn't stand a chance. They're just completely outclassed. So anyway, that's it for this demo. Hope you enjoyed it. Any questions or comments, please let us know in the comments below. You can also find us on Facebook. Thank you.